Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about the house on the cliff. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what does that make you think about? Well, I have RC here who's going to truly help us think about this in a whole new way. So, with that being said, thank you so much, RC, for coming onto my show, sharing your time and your perspective on this matter. I'm greatly appreciating this. So, let's just dive right in. When you hear the phrase "the house on the cliff," what does that make you think about?
Something interesting and spooky.
Ooh, interesting and spooky because if I'm not wrong, this is the title of your one of your books, one of your many books, may I say. Is that right?
Yes, it's my latest book to come to Amazon.
Nice. And if you don't mind telling us a little bit about it.
Well, I was on a trip to Iceland
Hmm.
and I watched a program on craftsmen, shoemakers, painters, jewelers, and I saw a program about the Fabergé eggs. And that got me started to think about a circumstance where you might have a house full of art and I created a whole story from this idea of the Fabergé eggs.
Oh, that is interesting. That is very interesting. I mean, I know that you write many, many books. So do you get inspiration to write your books by your traveling?
A lot of it is my wife and I have been to over 100 countries, including North Korea. We just came
Oh.
back from Central America,
Oh.
and we were in Egypt and Jordan last year, and we took a cruise from Bali to Japan the year before. So we enjoy traveling, and I have very vivid dreams. So I never am short of ideas, and I never have writer's block. My wife likes me to be locked up in my office most of the time, and I stay away from her and try and not bother her.
Right, that's interesting. But you allow those creative juices just to flow out. So I don't blame her. I mean, you get that all that creativity out in a book. So it's like, what is your writing style then?
Well, I write cold. I sit down and I just start a sentence, and people start talking to me. Is the best way I can explain it.
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, because the ideas and the visualization just pops into your mind and you just write it out. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't blame you because I'm the same way. Like I'm currently writing my novel and every time I sit down or I just start thinking about it, the visualizations is there. Like I could see it, I could hear it, I could smell it, I could imagine it, I could be there. And then I write it down to the best of my degree. And then I go back and reread the chapter and then write all the little missing pieces that were missing in the first part. And then do it again. And then I'll write in all the little missing pieces again so that when somebody else reads it, they actually see everything that I've seen and feel everything that I feel. So yes, you and me, we have the same writing style because I think that's just it's gold. You know what I mean? It's authentic, you know. So have you ever traveled to a place and just realized like I need to write this down, like, or this should be in a book besides the House on the Cliff one?
Yes, I had one of my uncles lived in Costa Rica,
Oh.
and I met him once, and then I traveled there through the Panama Canal, and that environment is rich with foliage and animals and different people, and that brought a book about that I wrote later on. It's called Dreams of Costa Rica. It's a love story involving the short revolution there and the Rockefeller of Costa Rica. And my uncle is the character that comes from North America to South America to start his life over again. And it's quite a story. It may not be
Oh.
for the faint-hearted, but we write what we know. I think that that's an important thing is to write what you know and write what is interesting to you.
Yeah, exactly. Write what's interesting to you. Write what you can feel, what you can see, the what ifs, you know what I mean? The twists and turns of the possibilities of the what ifs, you know what I mean? That's what I think is beautiful about writers like yourself and I, that we can see a situation and then be like, "Huh, what if this happened?" Or "What if this happened?" You know what I mean? That's the beauty of these of writing is that you allow your imagination to truly be free. So it's like, have you ever gotten to a point in a book where you realize like, "Ooh, I don't know if I should write that." And what did you do? And if you have ever have?
This is an interesting thing. I have a few books that are adult books. I write detective stories,
Mhm.
and obviously, human behavior is an interesting thing. And I
Yeah.
do have physical relationships between people. I don't go into graphic detail. I don't think that's necessary, but I have to be circumspect in what I write and due to the fact that you have to try and aim for a wider audience. If you start narrowing your focus to a certain level or you bring in certain elements, you're going to lose those people who are perhaps younger and of a softer nature. I try
Mhm.
to write for a wider audience.
Yeah, yeah, to allow everyone to feel seen, to feel heard, to know that it's not just a specific niche. Yeah, I understand that. I spoke with another writer at one point who he realized like he has a specific niche, so he knows that it doesn't get out there a lot because he writes in a certain style that's not for everybody. But it's nice to know that you also know that you write for everybody so that everybody can be seen, everybody can be heard, and everybody can relate to a sense, to a degree, depending on the book that you're writing. So it's like, what really keeps writing alive for you?
Well, I was a very fortunate young man a long time ago. I grew up in a very rich environment. My parents had a bar and dance hall, and it
Okay.
was in a very interesting neighborhood. My friends as a child were drug addicts, criminals, and alcoholics. And so perhaps that's why I have such vivid dreams and interesting dreams. I had a free range childhood and saw most everything one can see by the time I was 12. I quit smoking at the age of 12 to give you just an
Wow.
idea of how my lifestyle was.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, do you have kids?
I had a son, but sadly we lost him 2 years ago at 44.
Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. I mean, I'm assuming that when you were raising your child that you really took into consideration how you were raised and try to like alter it. Am I right?
Well, that's a long discussion. I was a contractor for 38 years. I worked for
Okay.
my father for 10 years to learn the trade. I worked in thousands of homes,
Oh,
met
wow.
thousands of people who live different styles of life. And my opinion is that one should be exposed to as much as possible. I
Yeah.
think we have to be prepared for life as it comes to us, not as we would like it to come to us.
Yes, I like that. I like that a lot because one thing that I'm telling my husband and I am telling everybody is that we need to start allowing children to be adaptable and have that awareness for all things, you know what I mean? Because it comes down to their better judgment. They'll have the understanding, they'll have the knowledge, and they won't have the judgment, you know what I mean? Because they'll have the context, and context develops character. And when you have that context develops that character, then it removes the judgment because you know there's no need to judge because you have that understanding of why somebody may act a certain way, why somebody's moving a certain way, why they're doing something a certain way. And I think having that exposure to different areas and different types of lives and just everything, I mean, truly gives you that perspective that a lot of people are missing. You know what I mean? So to be able to bestow that on your child, I mean, that's very good. You know what I mean? I mean, I for me, I would say that's very good. So I guess my next question is, have you ever gotten to the point where you actually got stuck? I know you said that you don't really deal with writer's block, but have you ever actually gotten stuck to a point where you're like, huh, I don't know how to continue this, or I don't know how to end this story?
Well, I have three books right now that I'm working on, and
Okay.
I am sort of stuck on a
Okay.
couple of them. I'm doing a rewrite on a fun detective novel called The
Okay.
Bad Seed that takes place in Phoenix, and it's a different kind of novel. It's full of action, but not a lot of violence, a lot of action, a lot of thought goes into this group of three people trying to bring down a drug cartel. And
Mm.
one woman is a former CIA agent. Another fellow is a Uber driver who was in the war in Afghanistan. He's an army sniper. And the
Huh.
main character is a retired police detective. And so, as you know, you read these books over and over and over as you write them, and you
Yeah.
try to improve them. And I've kind of shuffled things around, and I'm a little bit in the middle of deciding exactly how I'm going to put it back together. And
Mm,
it's kind of frustrated me, so I put it aside and I went back to editing a book that I already have up on Amazon, but I found some error in it, so I'm reading it and making it a little more interesting. For me, a book is like a painting. You put a layer down, it dries, you go back, you add some more detail, it dries, you look at it again. I mean, how many times have you read your novels before you put it out into the world? More times than you
right.
care to count.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, goodness gracious, people don't realize, like, when it comes to writers and when they write a book, it truly is a part of them. You know what I mean? It's our mindset, it's our spirit, it's our imagination, it's everything. It's to be honest, I was talking to another writer and I was just like, it's our form of immortality. You know what I mean? Because when we write and when we're long gone from this world, generations can come, can pick up our book, and there we are again in life. You know what I mean? Somebody's there reading our book and they are experiencing our lives, our visions, our personalities, our understanding of what impacted us at a certain time in a certain place. So it's like we never die because we live on with our books. You know what I mean? So I always tell people like write because it keeps you alive for generations to come, because if you're not valued as a writer right now in this day in this generation, well, don't worry, because generations to come you will be acknowledged, you would have value. I mean, look at all these books that were from the 1800s that are now movies and inspiring people. You know what I mean? Like for me, I love Alice in Wonderland, and I have the one of the first editions of the Alice in Wonderland book, and just knowing that somebody wrote that and they put their heart into that, and now me, I enjoy it, I can relate to it, and I love it. You know what I mean? Like years later, I mean, that is something that I hold treasure to, and I feel like you should do that too because you wrote so many books. Oh my goodness, so many books. So I guess it leads me to my next point. What are you grateful for? What are three things that you are grateful for?
Oh my goodness. Only three.
Yeah,
Uh,
only three. We gotta
my
limit it, right?
my brother and I often say that we should be dead or in jail because of where we came from. So
Mm,
I'm neither of those. Uh, so I'm grateful for that. I'm
yeah.
grateful for my wife who has brought the world of travel to me. We've been to over
Good.
100 countries and been to her family is from England. We've been to England 20 times or more. We have been to some interesting places, North Korea, as I mentioned, the five stands. Uh, so yes, I'm very grateful for that. And I am quasi bilingual. I speak Spanish to some degree and because of where I was raised. And so when I travel to Spain or South America or Cuba, I can listen surreptitiously to people around me and hear things. And I can find a bar and something to eat
Yeah.
and hopefully stay out of jail. So I'm grateful for not being locked up.
Right? Oh my goodness, those are true values. I mean, let's be honest, you can really say that. I mean, I can say that too because from where I'm from, I should have had already 20 kids and knocked up still and like in the slums and in jail and all these other things that bestowed upon me that people have predicted of my future at a very young age because that's how they see the world. You know what I mean? So yes, that is something that we can most definitely hold value to, is the fact that we chose to live a different life. We chose not to be identified by our past and how we grew up, but we allowed it to be a molding block to build us to be something better. And I love that you already know Spanish enough to get you by, because right now I'm in the process of learning French and learning
Oh,
Italian.
uh-huh.
That's my goal, is to learn French and Italian. But I do know Spanish, so that does help. So because I'm teaching my sons how to speak Spanish now, and they're picking up on it, so it's really well. I mean, it works really well for me. But
It's very important.
yeah, it is, because you never know where you're going to be in a situation, and you could help somebody who knows a different language, or you can help yourself, and if you're in a situation. So yes, I think being multilingual is truly a beneficial for everybody. You know what I mean? You shouldn't just limit yourself with one perspective or just one language because there's so much out there. I mean, and I think with the fact that you've been traveled to over hundreds of countries gives you that perspective that, you know what I mean, makes you grateful for more, you know, more than what you have. You know what I mean? You have a certain roof over your head, you have a car, you have a vehicle. I mean, you've been to places that probably haven't even had any of those things, you know, and you've been to places where the technology is more advanced. You know what I mean? So it's like you get this perspective and it makes you truly grateful. And I feel like more people should be traveling because it gives you that context. You know what I mean? That gives you that understanding of different cultures and it gives you that appreciation of what you do come from and where you are in your life. And I wish more people, you know what I mean, put it in their bucket list to travel. I mean, do you have any another place that you guys are hoping to travel to next?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. My wife went on, we both have done the Human Genome Program and learned our distant backgrounds. And my wife, her family were partly from Russia and partly those folks went on to live in England as immigrants. But my wife discovered that she's Persian.
Oh,
And so we had a trip planned to go to Iran. We were going to be there next month. And things have warmed up
yeah.
a little bit there, so we may have to wait a while, but we're going to wait and see what happens. We were in Jordan and Egypt the week that the fighting started on the West Bank in Israel again, so
Mm,
that was kind of intriguing. But I think coming from a place of, in my first book, The Adventures of the Smith Family, I say that I was given the greatest gift of all, and that's the gift of poverty,
mm.
because you can only move up, you can't fall.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that is true. I like that. I never really thought of it in that perspective, but truly, when you are able to realize that being born into a impoverished family, true, it is a blessing in disguise. I mean, when you're in it and when you're young, you may not think it because you're always constantly comparing yourself to somebody else who has more, do more, or they're different type of outlooks. But in reality, it gives you a type of different appreciation and value that people who come up with, you know, who have that finances and all that money available, they don't see the value of no. You know what I mean? Just saying this, just having that no can be a gift, you know what I mean? It gives you the value. Being bored, it gives you value, you know what I mean? Because once you in a predicament where it's actually entertaining, you're able to bask into it. You're able to enjoy it in a type of way that gives you this gratitude, you know what I mean? So I know exactly what you mean because I've been into certain places and I've encountered with certain people and then some people were like, "Oh, this is nothing." And I'm like, "No, this is something. There's value here. It's just that you can't see it because it's your normal. But in reality, this isn't normal for everybody. So because this isn't normal for everybody, there's value here. And the fact that those people can't see that value, it saddens my heart. But people who come from a poverty mindset or like from a very young age, they can truly see value in certain things that aren't normal. So yes, I do appreciate you saying that because I don't think people think about that enough, especially people who come from that type of background. They really don't. And it sucks to know that time is catching up to us because I feel like we can continue on talking about traveling and writing and your books. Oh, I'm really enjoying this conversation, Racy. RC, we're gonna have an excuse to bring you back on for another topic because I'm really enjoying
Absolutely.
this. But what can be some lasting words of wisdom to keep us on thinking?
Well, I work for very wealthy people, and their children grow up in a difficult environment also
Mm,
because they don't understand often what it took to get to where their parents are, and they don't
mm.
have the skills to replicate that. So
Oh,
my book, The House on the Cliff, is partially about that. A very wealthy family builds a special mansion, and as time passes, the father, the patriarch, passes away, and the children have to come out and settle the estate. And they have
mm,
no idea of the value of what's in the house because the
mm,
house is filled with great art. And they have three mansions on the East Coast filled with great art that their father had collected from traveling the world. And
yeah,
this is part of the story. Uh, I like writing about people and interactions,
yeah.
and this story is a book that, like a lot of my books, can be read by and to children, but
Okay.
it's full of adult themes in the sense
Yeah.
of success and failure and looking to the future and all of those things.
Yeah, I like that. That's a valid point. That's such a valid point. I'm so glad you brought that up. That sometimes being born into a rich family, you really don't understand the value and the skill and the mindset that your parents or somebody who got in who eventually obtain the money to give them that financial freedom, to give them that financial value in their life. They don't understand and how to sustain it too. Oh my goodness, that is great points because people really don't think about that on the opposite end of the spectrum, how that has limitations as well. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
both both sides truly have their own limitations, but it's like when you put them together and you bring somebody from lower background and a higher background and you combine them, they both together can truly bring value. And I think you have that in your books. You know what I mean? You bestow that in such a way that, oh my goodness, can truly make people think about that. Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
I'm writing a new book on my website that
Okay.
takes place in New York, and
Okay.
it's a modern story based on my latest trip to Rwanda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Oh,
And anybody come to my website at cowboyproductions52.com to read this story. It's about a couple engaged. They planned their wedding and their honeymoon, and their relationship was called off. The bride marries someone else, and the bride and her groom go on the same honeymoon trip that the first groom and bride had planned, and the former groom decides to go on the same trip with his office manager, a female, and they end up on the same safari together.
what are the odds? Oh my goodness, that sounds so interesting. Yes,
I
ladies
think
and gentlemen. Oh,
I think someone is going to be murdered.
dun dun dun. Don't give
Yeah.
it away, right? Don't give it away. We never know. But that is so interesting. Well, you know. I mean, let's be honest, you're the writer.
Well, I don't know how things are going to go. Uh, my website is cowboyproductions52.com, and there's lots of travel information there. And the first chapters of all my novels are there for people to read.
See, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. I even have access to his website on the link of this in the description if you're listening audio, if you're on YouTube watching the video, you know what I mean? Or even just go, if you're on my website, click on his photo and it goes directly to his website so that you can obviously continue on thinking. Because isn't that the point? Yes, it is to think and continue on moving forward. And he has such great content so that you can continue on thinking, ladies and gentlemen, because don't do yourself a disjustice by stop thinking. You do yourself a service by continue on thinking. So, with that being said, bye.